Today I have an indoor project. It's springtime and it's time to try to catch some bees. So I'm going to create 4 swarm traps. My sister and I were discussing it the other day about building swarm traps out of wood, and we got about talking about different kinds of material that would work, and she had come up with the epiphany to try it with a plastic storage container. So I googled it, and it turns out there's a few people out there that's already doing it. So I went and picked up 4 containers, dowel rod, which I'll cut in half. One dowel is going to be over here, and then about 18 inches or so, another one's going to be over here. All right, and the idea is I'm going to take some of these Langstroth frames, and they're going to fit right in here like this. Alright, so I'm going to probably put just 1 or 2 of these in each box, and then I'm going to use some top bars that are going to be the same length as the top portion of the Langstroth frames. Okay, I have the racks mounted for the Langstroth frames, and also my top bar frames that are going to go in here. I'm just going to put probably 1 Langstroth frame in here, and then I'm going to line up a couple of top bar frames, probably about 5 or 6 in here. But when the scout bees come in, I don't want this full of frames in here, because the scout bee may perceive it as being a smaller space if these are all the way across. So I'm just going to put 1 way off to the side. That way the bee can fly all around in here, and it'll give the impression, hopefully, it'll give the bee the impression of a nice wide open cavity. This is my second attempt. The first one, the hole was not very pretty, and I wound up having to do a glue gun around the edges. But I've got the holes in here just right this time. It's a nice snug fit, and the dowels are actually pretty hard to slide in and out, which is perfect. That's exactly the way I want it. The lid fits just right, just like that. Now I'm probably going to put the entrance right here, probably right on the face of this thing. Okay, I learned a lesson cheap and quickly, which is the best kind. I set this box down on the floor, getting ready to do the next box, and I tilted the box just a little bit to its side, and the Langstroth frame slid on the dowel rod and then collapsed down into the bottom of the bucket, or the bottom of the storage container. Not a good thing, especially if it has honeycomb on it and full of bees. So what I did was I put some zip ties down here, and I'll put a little bead of hot glue on either one of these, so they're already pretty snug. They're not moving, but this will allow this thing to be tipped a little bit, and you're not in danger. You'd have to get a little bit crazy with it before you start knocking frames off of the dowels. So hopefully I just saved myself a lot of heartache in the future. Okay, this is the last of the project. I got all 4 swarm traps created. A little rectangular opening here with a little ledge, just all glued on there with a high temp glue gun. Alright, well, since I've got my swarm traps all built, I need to add a few top bars in there to set beside the Langstroth frames. So I'm going to cut a couple of top bars at 19 inches. That way they're the same length as the Langstroth frames, and these are just right. Okay, now that I have the top bars cut, I'm adding a little guide for the bees, so when they lay the honeycomb on here, they won't go cross-combing onto other top bars. So I'll brad gun this all the way down through there with 3 little brads, and I'll do that on each one of these top bars. I figured since my tree stands aren't being used right now, it's a perfect place to set up a swarm trap. Okay, there it is. I used 550 parachute cord to cinch it off, and the lemongrass essential oils, you can smell it coming out of that container. And all I used was just a Q-tip. Okay, here's a platform stand that I built years ago when my girls were small and I wanted to be right with them when they were hunting. So this thing's long enough that I believe I'll put 2 swarm traps on this one with the entrance facing opposite directions. I'm going to set these up basically in this configuration. I'm in a better position up here where I can show you what the inside's going to look like. So I've got my Langstroth right here, and then I have my top bars, and I've already put spacers in here for them. They're going to fit like that, and I've got 3 more that are going to fit in here, and that'll be plenty because I'm not wanting to fill this thing up with honey. All this is just to give them a little purchase so they can attach their honeycomb, and hopefully I'll catch them long before they ever fill this thing up. I'll be checking it every couple of weeks. Okay, we have 4 top bars and then a Langstroth at the back with foundation already mounted in there. So I'm just going to turn this around, and then I'll use my 550 parachute cord to secure everything down to the tree stand. There we go, just like that.